Hi, my name is Rob Sweeney. I'm the author of You're Not Just a Diagnosis, Using Trauma-Informed Techniques to Create Your Best Life. And I'm talking today with Cooper J. He is the producer, director, and writer of a couple of independent films that have a reputation for being startling, I guess is a good word. How would you describe the work that you do, Cooper?
I would say like psychological terror, but with some surreal qualities in there. I definitely try to incorporate a bunch of different areas.
Okay. And is there a particular focus that you really kind of shoot for? Like this is the primary thing I have in mind for what I'm going to do?
Um, per project, yeah, in a way. I don't know. I like to read the news a lot, and I usually get like a inspiration from just like some sicko out in the world. So this current movie is inspired by Harvey Weinstein loosely. And it really shakes me to think that there's monsters in the real world that dress up like human beings and go to work, and they kind of live in the shadows, and that's a theme
Hmm.
of this one. And prey on the vulnerable. And I think what happens in the real world is always worse than what you can depict in the movies. But I like to try.
Okay. That's a pretty tall order. That's a pretty nasty stuff going out there in the world. Now, I did get a chance to see Nameless World. And my understanding is that this was the first in sort of a series about this particular character. Is that real?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is the second installment in the Papa Cherry trilogy.
Okay.
And
And
Papa,
Papa Cherry is this primary monster person you're talking about?
yeah, he's the monster who is Harvey Weinstein in a sense, who's a sleazy Hollywood mogul who preys on women. And Nameless World was about one woman that he assaulted in the past, and how she is suffering and kind of suffers so much that she enters his subconscious and tries to make him uh, feel for what he did.
I kind of got from watching it that there was a connection between the two. They're both having nightmares, a very similar nightmare, and then they sort of meet randomly in the park and accuse the other one of causing this on them. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's a lot better than most people.
Okay. And the interesting thing that I got from that was the idea that he felt like she was making him a monster, and that was, I'm not a monster, but in my dreams I am because, and that's your fault.
Yeah.
Is that kind of something you were trying to carry across? Is this part of what's driving this guy, Papa Cherry?
Yeah. So what really drives me as a filmmaker is just all those layers, and for
Hmm.
the audience to be able to interpret it, and just kind of give them enough. And yeah, that is essentially what's happening. So she is suffering in her mind, and I sometimes I love the dream world, and I like to think that the dream world is a dimension possibly that if you go deep enough, you could connect to someone else's dream.
Okay.
And that is essentially through her suffering and through her trying to escape this monster who's haunting her in her nightmares. She actually enters his nightmare um, as the monster.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What was interesting at the same time is if you're looking at counterbalances, she's isolated in the real world. She's not sleeping and she's self-harming to stay awake, not talking to people, being by herself all the time, and keeps saying, I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone.
And in a way, it could be her lost in his subconscious as just
Hmm.
a lonely victim, lost memory in his mind the whole time. And then it's only at the end that she finally sees him in what she thinks is the real world, but it could all be in his head. And then chases after him to try to make him remember.
Hmm. That's interesting in the images that you put out. You've got a very fast pace when she's obviously dreaming, and a different pace when it might be awake, but they're so similar, you can't tell if it's an hallucination or not. Was that purposeful?
Yeah. I love that whole idea of you don't know what's real, what's not. I mean, David
Okay.
Lynch does a lot of that where you just kind of lose touch. You think in the beginning you know what's going on, and then all of a sudden you don't know what's part of the movie, what's the movie within a movie, dream within a dream.
Okay. Now, have you done a lot of films? I've just seen this one, and I know that you've got another one coming up, even Monsters Sleep. But I don't. Have you been working for a while, or is this a new thing?
That's
What?
I've always wanted to be a filmmaker and do
Uh-huh.
film. But yeah, these are my first two films. The only thing I filmed before this was this like trailer to a Christmas horror movie that was just too big to do as an independent project. And this other weird music video that I did with some drawings of mine.
Okay. Do you mind? We actually have the trailers for Nameless World and even Monsters Sleep available. Do you mind if we watch this for a second?
Absolutely.
There we go.
Not real. It can't be.
And can we get the second one?
I got the part. Sorry. I always knew you could do it.
I want to be a star. I can smell it.
Wow.
That's all you get.
Those are short teases, but both of those are really, really dramatic images. So I can see a lot. Oh, well, all right. So now I have to ask the obvious question. What is wrong with you? You have to put out these horror movies. Like, do you have nightmares about horror or stuff like that? Or, I mean, what inspires you to do this kind of work?
I've always loved film. I love horror films ever since a kid. And I've always wanted to make them. And I've just over the years, I really love like hard to find horror films from around the world. Some that are like even banned in countries, and I just find that thrilling. And what they make with film, and just for like someone to find like 20 years from now, 300 years from now, I don't know. Just that something about film and being lost in time and just making it just I love. And
Sure,
I'm
but you could have made another Gone with the Wind or um, Happy Gilmore or something, right? Why horror? What is it
uh,
about that appeals to you?
I think for a few reasons. One, because I really hate a lot of the horror that's out there, and I really
Okay.
appreciate the genre and being scared, and a lot of the shit is just so bad. Um, but I think deep down, I like to make the thing about horror is I feel like there's no end to darkness, and
Okay.
you always are peering into it and out of it, and it's just like an infinite black hole. And I love thinking about that. And then when it comes to me spending my time doing things, I want to do things that I love. I love shock value. I love not knowing what's going to come next. I hate when movies give you all the answers and this classic character arc. And I love when it's a little more experimental. And that is what I want to combine with horror to make something a little different. And I think also my style um, is not very Gone with the Wind esque, um, and
Okay.
and I'm also very limited. I mean, I pay for all the movies that I have. I have a day job, but it's not. It's just kind of like my passion project. I haven't paid my actors. I've really just sold them on a good script and a lot of creative freedom.
Hmm.
And I think given being so limited, sometimes I have to do those like hard, crazy shots. Even in Nameless World, uh, sorry. Even in Nameless World, if you realize that all the voice or vocals, it's all kind of like recorded over, and I totally messed up the dialogue and recording it on set. And with Even Monsters Sleep, it's the first time I actually have like real dialogue and make it more of an actual film rather than just like a collage of crazy visuals and story.
Mhm.
So I am evolving.
That's
So maybe Gone with the Wind will be one day.
well, I could see with those two teasers. The first one was very much shocking images and quick blurbs, and the second one, there was actually a plot in the teaser. You could see the young girl got the job. He's going to abuse her just the way he's talking to her. You could see it coming. And then you get a quick blurb of a couple of images from that, so that the experience of watching the movie is going to be completely different than the first one, but they kind of
Yep,
tie together that way. So I could
definitely.
see that evolution just in the storytelling that you're doing already.
Love
Um,
to hear that.
Now, do you have a background in film? Is this something that you've been, since a kid, I've been working on becoming a filmmaker, or do you have another background that you bring to the world?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was a kid, I think I wanted to go to film school. I had a camcorder and would always make home movies. And then I realized that it kind of looked shitty for a while. Like you really have to work your way from the bottom. You have to go on these long crews and I don't know, be someone's bitch for just like years. And I really didn't like that. So I went to
Okay.
college, went to business school, and in the back of my mind, just hoped that I could have extra money one day to try and just make a film or a short film and kind of get myself in that way.
Okay.
And so far, I work in ad tech, and I've been able to get a little money to free up for just like a shitty little used DSLR, and just really get creative with the storyline. No CGI, no special effects, and just try to make something dirty and crazy.
I don't think it needs any of those special effects or the CGI stuff because the strength is in the writing. Did you spend a lot of time thinking of the story, or this kind of come to you all of a sudden in the
Yeah, no,
bathtub, or?
this type of shit with like all the layers and stuff takes me
Yeah.
the most time. And one of the great things, like working with Andrew and Anna,
Mhm.
hopefully two of them are showing up soon,
Uh-huh.
is they are just so good at improv and understand. So I'm very good at coming up with ideas and like just spend long, like I would spend days just on the couch with my eyes closed, smoking weed, just trying to like put these two stories together.
Okay.
And it's just so conceptual, but I don't want to give too much. And then I don't know, it's so much in my mind. And then I write down the story. And then when we actually get on set, my dialogue is definitely not my strong point. It's hard
Okay.
for me to really get into these characters' minds and voice what they say. So I would work with Andrew and Anna on what the character is and background, and they would just improv back and forth to each other. And a lot of the stuff that made it into this film was from their improv.
Uh-huh. Okay. I've heard stories about directors who work that way. They basically coach the actors on who they're going to become and then get out of the way. So I could see how that would work as a director. Now, did you bring something from your business experience to this? Like, back in business, we were all ruthless pains in the ass. I'm going to be a great producer because I know how to do that. Or, like, did you just leave that back in the apartment when you went to work on the film?
Yeah, it was totally just. I mean, my day job doesn't give me this creative outlet, so
Mhm.
really was my only way to get that creative outlet, still have a day job, and be somewhat happy.
No, that makes sense. Okay. So what are your plans for the films? Are they going to go to a film festival or something like that? Or what happens
Yeah.
next?
So even Monsters Sleep, I will definitely be sending to film festivals. Maybe try and do a little ad campaign online. Use the business background there, um, and yeah, just try to. My film and networking is very tiny when it comes to the creative and movie industry. So by the time 2023 film festivals come out, I hope that I could do some networking, reach out. I don't know.
Okay.
Time's kind of on my side, but the film's almost done.
Okay. And well, do you have a target date for it to be finished?
It's pretty much done, I would say. I
Okay.
just sent the final cut to the actors, and then I would like to get it just professionally mixed in. But the film festivals for next year don't open until October, so I'm budgeting that time for finalization of the film, and also hammering out where I'm going to send it and try to spark some buzz around it.
Okay. Now you have plans for a third film. Yeah,
series. If time allows me.
Okay.
We had a few health scares with Andrew for this film, so it's a blessing that he's still around and kicking it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically going to carry the, is it going to be a completion of the story? Or is it one of those,
I would love
it's going to be another incident and cut it off? Or...
already have an idea for the third installment. But yeah, I mean, I also have ideas for some other films that I would like to do. But I hope this one can I don't know, help me in some way on getting an actual budget for another film.
I hope that works out well for you. Good luck with that. And I'm really impressed with, these are your first films. These are really good. I'm really impressed. I hope you're proud of the work you've done.
Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you very much for doing this interview. This was really a pleasure to talk with you. And I look forward to interviewing again. Will you come back and talk to us again when you're finished with the film and when the next one's ready to go?
100%. Whenever you need me, I'm here.
That'll be great. I look forward to that. Thanks very much, Cooper.
Of course.